If you can hear me, drop me a comment down below. I'm just going to check that we are actually. Let me load up. So if you're here, drop a comment down below. Let me know hello. I'm just going to check now. So that one. Here was where I'm not live. And it's like, oh my God. So I can't see I'm actually live on Facebook. Am I live? No, it doesn't look live on Facebook. I might have to check that one. Are we live on YouTube? That might be an interesting question. Fast track. So it's been a couple of weeks since I've been here. Oh, it says I think it says that I'm live. Give me 2 seconds. Am I live? Yeah, I am. I'm here. I'm on my phone. Woohoo! Let me know if you're here and you can see me. Obviously, it says apparently I'm live. I don't think I am, but it's all right. Right, let's kind of give you a bit of an update on. Obviously, if you've got questions, drop them down below. I will be here to help you. Let me just check this one last thing. It should be that you are live, Tom, but obviously it's probably saying I'm not. So if you've got questions, let me know in the comments down below. I'm going to answer them for you. Now, in my business, let's talk about what's going on. So last year, Q4, done. Really happy with that. Actually had a really good result. The team are really, really good. I should probably say this, like there's a video that I'm thinking like, should I be creating? Hey, so EMKU said, hi. Let me just kind of move this. Can I make this a bit longer? Is that like, can I zoom in? I don't know, avatar size. Let's make it better. So you're here, cool. Let me know if you've got questions, comments. Obviously I can help you out. I'm gonna try and make them a little bit bigger. There we go, that's a bit better. Hello, there you go. I'm just playing with some of my sizing and then we're gonna be good. So yeah, nice and simple. Right, let's kind of jump through. So we've got hello. Okay, cool. If you've got questions, please let me know down below. Obviously I will be able to help you out. In my Amazon UK business, or Amazon USA business, what are we getting on with what's going on? So right at the moment, unfortunately, if you want to know, my purchasing manager has left. That means that I now have a purchasing assistant who's going to promotion up to purchasing manager. So I'm doing a lot of work around that, and I'll probably release some videos around what we are doing and the way we're approaching it, and how I'm training them up. So you'll be able to see kind of insights into the way we do it, and hopefully that's going to help you consider what's happening. So if I kind of talk about it really simplistically, and by the way, whether it be for my purchasing manager or for you in your own business, this is the kind of approach that I would take. Number one is the fact that I would be looking at my calendar and really just saying I've got 40 hours a week. And in those 40 hours, I'll be dividing the time up to all the tasks that you have to do. And then for each task, I'll be putting processes in regards to like, what is it that I'm doing in that time? And then your job is to measure the results of the work that you are doing, which is the time that you are taking in there. So for example, in my purchasing manager role, what are we doing? We're basically looking at, they have like an 8-hour day, so they need to have like a meeting with their other team members, sources, set the direction. Then they need to go and, as you say, do the repricing, do the reordering, and then they'll need to come in and check deals from their sources and then physically purchase them. And then probably in the evening it'll be with me. Now that's kind of like a structure of their day and what they're doing. And there's so many little parts to it that in each one of those little time blocks, they're going to be saying, here's how I do this time block to make it quick and efficient, and they can do it. So I'll share some more videos around it, but that's kind of like a highlight of what we're doing. So I appreciate we've got someone mentioned here, I need help sourcing in the US market. What's the problem? Let me ask the question, how are you getting on? What's the problem with sourcing in the US marketplace right now? Where are you struggling? And I think that's kind of the question that I'd be asking. So if I kind of, so let's put it this way. If you're sourcing right now and you are struggling, one of the key kind of things that you can do which might make a difference is, instead of saying where can I find profitable deals, start trying to ask the question of where can I not find profitable deals that I need to stop doing. So as you go through the sourcing process, instead of like focusing on finding the profit, instead trying to figure out where the profit is not. Because if you just get rid of more and more of the bad things, you're probably going to figure out where the profitable items are quicker. Right now we live in a world of abundance, whereby we have too many options, too many people to date, too many like deals to possibly analyze, where actually what we should be doing is trying to say, how can we get rid of a lot of them to just find out what we're doing. So figuring out where the answer doesn't lie is going to help you just naturally go to where the answer does. And we use that a lot in our business. And should we say, when we do decision making, it kind of helps us just make it a lot easier to go through. So you want tips for sourcing in household category. Interesting. I like that one. Okay, so let's kind of be a bit more specific. So if you're sourcing right now in, whether it be house and household, it doesn't really matter. I think that the approach is all the same. So, okay, so if I'm sourcing health and household, what would I be doing? Well, number one, I'm going to define a couple of things. One, I'm probably going to have 3 lists that I want to know about. So list number one is going to be brands that I want to buy from. For example, if I'm doing shoes, it might be like Nike, because if you don't get IP complaints, they're going to be good brands. And the brand doesn't sell on the listing, nor does Amazon. So that's going to be a really important thing. So identifying what the key brands you want to be looking at, I'm going to really like that. Now, the second thing I'm going to be looking at is specifically around what the other sellers who are doing, should we say, the category that I'm in, health and household. I'm really going to try and find a list of those sellers, because we can do storefront stalking, look at what they're buying, and hopefully find new suppliers. But I'm not looking for just any old sellers. I want sellers who solely focus on the category, or majority of their stock is on the categories that I'm in. So therefore, I can spend more time just kind of getting ideas, getting tips about where those categories are going to help me. And then the third one that I would do, will make a big difference, is have a list of suppliers whereby I can get preferably bulk orders through, or if not, I have discount codes which can get me a discount. And the reason why I say this is really important is because one of the biggest problems you're going to face within this business model is that eventually you're going to, should we say, find enough deals that you'll start making some good money. And then your problem comes as you start running out of places to spend that money. Now, if you are just always buying 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s, like soon you want to be buying, like when you find that good deal, you want to be buying 50, 100, 200. So therefore, by knowing which suppliers allow you to buy big and also which don't, you are going to naturally just not bother sourcing from that supplier, and also spend your time sourcing from the other ones. That's going to be really, really helpful. Now, I did mention a kind of like, a minute ago, I mentioned that I'm hopefully going to have a list of suppliers, or you should have a list of suppliers whereby you have voucher codes that other people don't know about. And the reason why you want to do this is for the fact that the biggest problem you face right now, especially within Amazon, especially doing OA, is that anyone can right mouse click your store and just Google and try and figure out your supply. So if they start seeing that you're popping up on all the listings, they're just going to keep storefront stalking you, which is exactly what I said as point number 2. Now, the reason why you want to know the coupon codes is because when you are sourcing, if you know a supplier has a coupon code that no one else knows about, then you are going to be able to find deals that even if people right mouse click and search, they will not be able to access for the price that you can. So therefore, you have a competitive moat that no one else will know about. This is going to give you more profits, and the deals will last longer because other people can't do it. So generally, like, that's one of the key areas I'll be looking at. So building those kind of 3 lists is going to help you, just really focusing down on what's going to be making the profits, or like where you should be focusing, and then finally finding other suppliers or the brands to focus on, other sellers who you can copy from, which suppliers you should be buying from, and if there are other suppliers whereby maybe you can get discounts that other people don't know about. And that might be like coupon codes, it might be email newsletters, it might be like even just knowing how to put bulk orders through their checkout page. Getting through that is going to be really, really important. So I would say they're the kind of like 4 key things I'd be looking at, and that applies to all categories rather than just say health and household. I hope that makes sense. Let's kind of get through. How do you guys reach out to the supplier as they're no longer accepting applications from online sellers? So by the way, like if they're no longer, you're going to have many sellers, distributors, wholesalers, manufacturers who don't want to work with other sellers. And that's absolutely fine. That's their prerogative. You can't stop it. But if you are, I would try and figure out why. I ask them, why can you not do it? Not a problem, because then that gives you an open door to figure out what needs to change for it to happen. But B, I would be setting a reminder in my calendar to contact them again 3, 6, 12 months down the line to try and build that relationship. Just keep touching in. Every time I have the contact with them, where they go, we're not accepting relationships, I probably want to try and find at least one bit of personal information about the person I'm talking to. For example, pardon me. So, for example, if I get a message from Bob in, I don't know, X supplier, and they say, sorry, we're not accepting online applications, I would immediately get on the phone and say, hi, can I speak to Bob, please? And when Bob's answered the call, I'll be like, hi, Bob, it's Tom from X company. I just want to say thank you so much for your email back. I really appreciate it. And I would probably want to ask a question there. Like, if you don't mind me asking, like, can I ask, like, why, what is the reason? I'm always interested to know how we need to change to better suit you. Cool. Can I ask what's one problem you're facing right now that we could change towards? Maybe asking a question. And I'd probably ask something on a personal level, like, how's the business right now? Maybe like, what area are you based in? Is there anything, if I were to be in the area, can I pop by one day? I'm trying to just pick up one key bit of information so that next time I contact them, I can reference to that bit of information. Why? Because that means that when they read that message from me about opening up an account for the second time, they're like, oh, we don't accept online sellers. They're like, hey, this guy knows something about us. This guy knows that we're located here. We know that Bob's here. Maybe it's like, hi, Bob, like great to speak to you the other week. Or like a couple of months ago. I just want to see how the weather is there. I know it was really bad last couple of weeks. Have you got the car part fixed, for example? Like maybe they're having their car part done. And so therefore, he's going to take your application a lot more seriously. So that's going to be really, really important. Now I'm just kind of reading your messages. How do you guys reach out to the suppliers? So again, you got to keep going. And then number two, and then you're saying, what do they do? And e-commerce tech, I'll come back to you in a minute. What do you do if they said if they have supply chain issues? Well, if they look, at the end of the day, if they don't want to sell to you, they don't want to sell to you. Like if they can't supply their existing suppliers enough, they're not going to take on new ones. That's called stupidity. It's like, so I would just say, cool, no problem. Let me check back in 3 months' time and I'll see how you're getting on. That's it. And in 3 months' time, hi, Bob, how's the supply chain issues going on there? I know it was quite a challenging time back then, how they eased up. And again, get on the phone, have the call. I'd probably not even send the email. I'd just get on the call straight away to Bob and have that conversation. But this isn't like you ask them once and they get the answer. You've got to keep going. It's like dating. For example, you ask the hot girl for her number and she says no. And then you go, hey, how are you? Like, cool. And then you see her in the street like 2 days later and you're like, hey, how was like that film that you watched? What did you think? And she's like, hey, he's not asking me for my number. He's asking about the film and he knows something about me. So now you're building rapport. You're getting to know each other. And so therefore, the more you kind of play the game and you get to know them and build a relationship, the more likely you are to going to win the account. But you will and by the way, the best ones are the ones who say no, because they say no to you right now, they will say no to other people. And I think that's a really, really important point. So when you get these rejections, this is good. I hope you like it. I watch videos, good YouTube channel. Thank you so much. Cool. I'm glad you like the YouTube channel. Any video in particular that you really like? Let me know down in the comments below. Guys, if you've got comments, drop them down below. I'm here to help. Let's kind of go through. So, Yosefin, I tried so much and contact with distributors and suppliers, but they didn't respond to my emails. What's the best trick, sir, to get brand approval in USA? Wow. Look, so I think my advice, let me just change my layers because this one's going to be, move that, woohoo, there we go. So at the end of it, you got a couple of bits there. If you want brand approval, you don't have to do it with the manufacturer. You can do it with any supplier. So depending on Amazon, but most of the time it's any supplier. So just go find another supplier who will let you do it. It doesn't have to be the biggest one. It doesn't have to be the manufacturer. Anyone who can sell it can get you that brand approval, so long as you're just trying to get ungated. If it's physical brand approval like Apple on Amazon, it's probably not going to happen. So, but there's so much opportunity on Amazon, I would not worry about trying to get the biggest brand approvals. That's the important one. Then number two, generally getting on the phone and having conversations is a really good one. And I would strongly recommend following up all distributors, suppliers, with a phone call. That's going to really help you out. So I would do that, but you can email them, fill out their form, but you've got to follow up. That's the most key important point. So yeah, that's what I do. And again, it's a constant process. You're kind of like, I'm going to change the word. You're kind of like, I tried so much, I'm going to change the word from distributor supplier to like the hot girl. I tried so much to contact the hot girl. Why didn't she respond to my emails and messages? What's the best trick to get the hot girl's number? And if I were to change that in Andrews, you'd be like, well, I've got to be persistent. I've got to try. I've got to learn different approaches. If she's going to be your new wife, you've got to take a different approach. So I kind of changed that frame of reference because it makes you think like, and also as well, the hot girl doesn't have to give you her number. So that's the other thing. But it doesn't mean you just shouldn't be polite, but persistent. So I hope that helps out. Let's go through. I never thought I'd be talking about the hot girl on the call. Right, let's go through. Being a new seller on Amazon is tough to get sales. Compete the buy box, slightly drop the price. Yeah, you can drop the buy box price. Guys, if you've got questions, drop them down below. Honestly, I'll support you out. So 1 second. Do you think I should zoom in? Can I zoom in? Does it let me zoom in? Whoa, there we go. We can reframe it. Woohoo! So that's my camera playing around. So being a new seller on Amazon is tough to get the buy box. Yeah, agreed. If you're a new seller on Amazon, it is going to be more challenging than for existing sellers for a couple of reasons. Number one is you just don't have the knowledge that other people do. And the fact that you have the knowledge means you can just make decisions a lot quicker and get actions a lot quicker. Number two is the fact that Amazon's still trying to find out who you are, and and if you are going to be reputable. Why? Because there are a number of sellers on Amazon who try and buy fake stolen goods. We all know about Section 3s or other tactics. And therefore, Amazon is just being cautious in allowing you to prove yourself to sell to the customer. At the end of the day, Amazon doesn't really care about you. They care about the customer. And if the customer has a good experience with you, then Amazon will give you more, should we say, opportunity on the platform. So unfortunately, it is right. You do challenge on it. There is a struggle. But I would say you should be thinking about be grateful for the struggle, because when you become good, it means other people will therefore go through the struggle as well. And most people will give up. By the way, I think it's something like 2/3 of all Amazon seller accounts don't actually sell anything. So if you think it's tough, like a lot of people have created the account and they've just given up, haven't even bothered. So I hope that makes sense. And by the way, like I think you mentioned down here, no profit at the end. Like, yeah, like I've talked about my journey before. In my first year of selling on Amazon, I lost money. And I mean like over £10,000, which is like $15,000. I lost money. And the reason is because number one, I didn't have the knowledge to know what to do. Number two, I started growing too quickly. Number three, I made a lot of very bad mistakes. Number four, I wasn't getting the support that I should have got. And so therefore, the problem came was that everyone watches like YouTube videos, Instagram, and goes, "Oh, I should do Amazon. I make money." Yes, of course, you can make money on Amazon. My God, you can make money on anything. But also as well, there is a lot of opportunity to lose money as well. And you've got to be, and because you have lack of knowledge or lack of skills, therefore your chances of losing money are so much greater. So when we play this game of business, we are not expecting to get rich in the first like week, 2 weeks, 3 months, 1 year, for example. What we are expecting to do is to learn the skills. And we understand that the game will probably take 3, 5, 10 years, 20 years before we even figure out the answer. And then at that point, we'll make good money. But the question you've got to ask yourself is, how long are you willing to stay in the game for? And I think one of the good frame of references is, if is the fact that I am like, the alternative is what? Go and get a job? Well, I would rather toil and in hardship for 5 years and then potentially earn enough for my job, in that maybe 5 years after that, so 10 years from the start line, I then have a great quality of life. And for me, that's what I want. Like, I do not want to be in the job for the rest of my life, 40 years. Like that dream, inverted commas, is definitely not where I want to be. So again, I come back to you. What do you want? And you are right. There is going to be no profit at the end, but I think you've got to be careful with your language, because you are saying there's no profit at the end, but you're saying I would say there is no profit right now. And then, so therefore you're saying, okay, cool. Well, there will be in the future. The next question is, how do I get there? So I think language and the way you talk to yourself is really, really important. So what about selling P&G? What, Procter & Gamble and CP, Ben, new sellers? What? I don't understand what you're saying. Do you want to write that out properly? What, selling P&G? What is that? And what's CP been, and Ben, been a new seller? I'm not really too sure. Let me know in the comments down below. What does that mean? What does that mean? But I think, like, look, one of the common questions we get asked is like, oh my God, like if I was going to start singing again, or like if I was going to do it again, yeah, fine. Colgate, Palmolive, where the hell do you get these from, being a new seller? By the way, why do you have to sell those products? Like, those are some of the biggest brand names in like the world, and you can sell them if you want, but I'm sure competition is going to be insanely high. There are so many products to sell on Amazon which are not the big brand names, whereby there's really good money and opportunity. If you want to try and find the biggest brand names, like, absolutely fine, but you're up against some really good competition, and for you as an individual, you're going to really struggle. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it, but I'm thinking, why not go find some little like mum and pop thing, or like maybe a sale on that's happening? Why do you have to focus on that product, if that makes sense? So for me, I think number one, find out where the profit is, and then number two is figure out why you're good at that, and then keep trying to expand from there. That'd be a really good point. Las Vegas somehow have a 4.4 inventory turnover. Wow, that's really fast. Do you know what that means? That means that you're selling your stock 4.4 times per 90 days. How quick is that? What is that? So you're selling a 90, 45, top of my head, what's that? 27.5? So like every 25 days, you're selling your stock. Is that right? Yes, it means basically what you're saying is your entire inventory is turning over every 25 days, which is that's what you want it to be. Fantastic. But I'd probably say you're a bit too fast. We're currently like, by the way, like in my own internal metrics, we were 1.3, 1.6, we're now 2.3, which I'm really, really happy with. But I do think that need to be a bit, that you can go too much the other way, whereby you might be too aggressive on selling and not enough making the profit. So again, you've got to figure out the balance. So yeah, so yes, but now Amazon's bringing about that low inventory fee, kind of ruining my little plan. Yeah, I get it. And by the way, it's because you're probably selling too fast, too low. So there's that. Here's a question. Last Venus, are you always on the buy box, like all the time, even if the ROI goes, I'm not saying negative, but pretty close to like low, like you're always competing against it? Would that be a good kind of analogy for you? Like buy, sell, whatever the price is, just do the volume. Would that be the good analogy? And then obviously, because the reason why I asked the question is because right now, with this new inventory fee, which is coming out, it's going to be a really interesting case whereby, because I've seen a lot of people doing that really low, just sell whatever volume first. Then what you're probably going to see is the fact that people will, they'll have to up their prices, so thereby Amazon Marketplace will change. So constantly, my ROI doesn't go below 18%. Wow, really good, really, really good. But you are selling really, really fast. So yeah, great. Hey, great. 18% churning away. By the way, when I was in the UK doing OA, by the way, 18% overall, I would have been like, I'm okay with that, I'm fine. And you're like, no, it doesn't go below 18%. And you are selling volume. Different marketplace people, if you think about selling, USA is where the place is. I assume you're on USA. So UK, oh my God, very different place. So yeah, absolutely fine. I do agree the low inventory fee is going to have a ruin that plan. Could you, instead of using, so when you're doing like, you're turning quick, I'm guessing the other option you could do is to use capital leverage to just buy a little bit deeper each time. So all you're trying to do is just put more capital in there so you can hold a few more. So I hope that makes sense. But yeah, interesting. Well done. Really, really good. So would you recommend getting a VA for Amazon FBA wholesale at the start? Okay, really good question. I've had conversations with other people. I had a conversation today with someone who wanted to hire a VA, who wanted to do wholesale. And my advice to them is, my advice to everyone is, a VA is a form of leverage. And if you know what you're doing, then that leverage, it will really help you out. But if you do know what you're doing, you do not know what you're doing, and you get a VA, then you are probably going to leverage it in the wrong direction. It'll be a bad idea. So what do I mean? If you know what you are doing, and you feel confident in your ability to analyze deals and direct people to tell them what to do, i.e. to improve, then getting a VA is fine. And so when you talk about at the start, I would define that as like, what is your level of confidence? Do you feel confident that if a VA were to give you a deal, you could say, yes, it's a good deal, or no, it's not? And then B, do you feel that if the VA came to you and said, I can't, or I don't know what to do next, you could give them the advice? If you can do that, then I'd probably say you're okay. But if the VA comes to you with a deal and you're like, I don't know if it's good or bad, and I can't tell you why, then I'd probably say your skill set isn't high enough, and therefore you're probably going to make a lot of mistakes. So Kazim Ali, I hope I said that right. Let me know if that answers your question down below. Yeah. Right, we've got about 20 minutes, guys, and then I'm going to drop off. So drop your questions down below. I'm back. I spent a month in Thailand and the Philippines. It was a wonderful Q4. Although I'm actually really happy to be back. So really, really happy. Right, let's go. Does Amazon accept retail invoices like Walmart, Kruger, if I want to do online arbitrage? And should we do online arbitrage where there's a super discount deals right now, right? Because otherwise they are constantly then supplier. Don't get the last bit. So do Amazon accept retail invoices? So for the purposes of authenticity complaints, yes, we have seen that they've accepted Walmart for us, and that has not been a problem. When we are talking about invoices for things like online arbitrage, all they were really trying to do is to prove, is the product legit supply chain? That's it. If you are looking to get ungated, then Walmart would not be a suitable invoice to get ungated, because it is not from a manufacturer, distributor, or wholesaler of the product who have license for the ability for you to buy the product from them for the purposes of resale. Wholesale sells, Walmart sells you the product not for the purposes of resale. It sells you the product for you to use that product. So, but yeah, so they do accept retail invoices, and yeah, and you can do online arbitrage, and if there's steep discounts, winner. That's why a lot of people do it. It works really, really well. I hope that answers your question down below. I hope that answers your question. Let me know down below. Tom's like losing his marbles right now. Oh my God. Right, 1 second. I'm in the UK. Wow. I guess it depends on capital. 15% ROI 10K is easier than 40% ROI 2K. Yeah, kind of. I think the question is like, if you've got a very limited budget. Okay, so if we were to do if we were to continue doing your analogy, like if you've got a small budget, finding a couple of products with high ROI isn't too challenging because you just can't buy very much. So you can keep looking. And generally you have a lot of time to invest a very small amount of money. And if we do some very simple maths, like let's say, for example, I say whenever you spend money, you spend it over, you spend the money, it takes about a week to get shipped into Amazon, and then 4 weeks in Amazon, and then a week back. So let's call it 2 months, for example. So if you've got 2K over 2 months, that's £1,000 per month, and per week that's like £250. So it's not too hard to find £250 worth of 40% ROI products if you are working 40 hours a week. You can pretty much find that. It's not going to be too challenging. Whereas 15% ROI 10K, okay. Again, wholesale would be quite easy to do that with. But the one thing is, like, generally as you go bigger, the lower your ROI gets, but not always. Not always. Sometimes you have areas whereby now we're big enough, we can start negotiating discounts. So if you talk about like 100K, 15% ROI, like I wouldn't think so. I think you could get higher than that at all. But I do remember doing OA when we were having like 100K a week to spend. That was a real challenge to maintain above 15% ROI, which is why we left the UK, because the margins kept dropping. So I hope that makes sense. Omar says this: would you say it's easier to sell in the USA or UK marketplace for OA? Oh my God. Okay, so I'm gonna probably go off on a little bit of a tangent, but I'm gonna share with you a video that I've been wanting to create for a really, really long time, which is going to be a horrible title. Everyone's going to hate me for. Is OA in the UK dead? That's the title I'm thinking about. And the whole basic premise is, if you are selling in the UK, VAT registered, doing the OA model, you A, have more taxes to pay through VAT, you B, have more administration through VAT, and then C is that because you generally have staff, should we say, so that's going to be increased cost. And then D, those who are under the VAT registered threshold are generally smaller, leaner, and newer and more inexperienced, and have more willingness, or not willingness, lack of knowledge, so therefore lose money, which then causes prices to crash, and as a result, it becomes a lot more challenging. So there are ways around it, but I do just look at OA in the UK after VAT registered, and I'm like, it's not a place where I naturally see good opportunities for sellers. But let's go on the other hand, let's look at USA. USA costs are a lot higher. For example, accountants at least double. If you're paying £100 in the UK, you'll be paying $250 in the US. If you're paying $500 in the UK, you'll pay over like 22 grand a month in the US. Warehouses cost a lot more. The UK is like 50 pence. In the US, you're probably $1 minimum. Everything takes a bit longer. Shipping times are longer, so turning your money is quicker or slower. There is more margin, but generally you need more cash. And then the biggest problem that no one ever talks about is that everyone goes, how I made $1 million starting with $500, for example. But what they didn't say is that they use credit cards and capital while scaling. So you start with 500, you prove the concept, great. Then you go get a credit card, and then now you have 5 grand, and now you use the 5 grand to go start scaling. Voila, you know, $1 million. So, but really, it's kind of like I turned 500 plus a lot of credit into $1 million in sales. That should be what the real title should be. So, understanding that is when you go from the UK to the US. If you're a UK national, you cannot get credit cards, because they just will not give them to you for US to US operations. So that's another big challenge, so you need more cash. So do I think it's easier? I think it's easier to start in the UK marketplace, but I think for long-term success, the US is probably where you want to be. Hence why we sell in the US. Hope that makes sense, Amma. Great question. Oh, by the way, have a look at my courses. If you are a foreign national looking to sell in the US, I put a $97 course together, which is how to get started selling on Amazon USA as a non-resident. It talks you through everything you need to know that I did and shares that with you. So I hope you like it. Don, Fast Track FBA, Mary Jan thing. I think, is that DeGallo? I don't know. I have no idea. Google Translate. Try that one. Right, next one. Las Venus. Hello. Nothing fully dead. Yeah, I agree. But it's more of a catchy headline. Definitely much harder to do OA in the UK. Yeah, 100%. And now it seems Amazon even discourages over the new fee for low inventory. Yeah, agreed. And it's going to have real impact. It's going to have challenge. It's not like, it's not dead, but like, look, general rule of thumb. If you're in a business model whereby you there's opportunity and it's not being taken away all the time, it's a good place to be. If you're in a business model whereby as you grow it becomes even harder, just doesn't, like, if you think about, like, if I've started today on OA in the UK, $1,000 in sales, great. But when I get to $100,000 in sales, or pounds, sorry, it's going to be a lot harder, and my profit's going to be decreased just because of the natural environment that I'm in. I'm probably going to be like, I probably won't want to do that environment because there's actually an incentive not to grow. And I want to grow because I don't want to keep doing the work that I'm doing. I want to grow so I can get out of the work, but the work keeps paying me because I've built systems and processes. So therefore, I would be like, I just kind of look at that in the environments that we operate in, and to say, where is the competition? How fierce is it? What's the barrier to entry for them? What's my competitive advantage? And so therefore, it's going to help me understand where I should be spending my time, and also not spending my time, and making strategic decisions. And really, you think about it, all you are as an investor, like when you think about retail investors or stock market investors or whatever, they're literally going, where am I going to get the best return on my money? You're like, where am I going to get the best return on my time? That's it. It's just and at the end of the day, I just think it's a math equation, and like you're trying to figure out the answers to that. And if you can figure out, put it this way, like if you started Amazon when it first started, you could probably do pretty bad and still make a shit ton of cash. But if you start Amazon today and you're pretty bad, you will lose money like there's no tomorrow, because just the natural environment, i.e. the competition, everything else, is so much fiercer today than it was before. So you've got to be good. You've got to be focusing on certain things. And again, if you can find those environments, maybe niches, maybe areas, maybe in Amazon UK, but it might be like Amazon UK, Wholesale, for example, in house and household, that might be one that no one's doing, and there's so much opportunity there. So even if you make mistakes, which you will do, it doesn't really cost you. So that's the kind of thought process that I'd make. So thinking about that one. But good point. And well done on your like 4.4. Insane. Sali Wasim. Hello. I meant retail arbitrage is best when retail stores have huge discounts and deals. Otherwise, retailers producing products are more costly to source as compared to wholesale, right? No, you've got a really big assumption there. Really big assumption. My God, you think wholesale has great deals? It doesn't. Like, it does, obviously, sometimes. Like, everyone thinks because you're buying in bulk and you're buying from like authorized supply chain, such as wholesalers and distributors, you are going to get cheaper pricing. Like, it just isn't the case. Honestly, go find a wholesaler tomorrow, call them up, and get the price list and run it through versus Amazon. And I promise you, you'll be like, oh, sometimes the actual wholesaler, or a lot of the time, the wholesaler is more expensive than Amazon. And they're not selling directly to consumer. You have to then deal with like other costs. Then you've got to resell it. So just because that, generally retail has really huge discounts because they buy in bulk. That's a really important thing to consider. And I would always like think about that as when you're doing the, should we say, purchasing or like the model, because wholesale's good, but there is a different way to do it as well. So I hope that makes sense. Don, what's your net worth? I'm going to say my net worth is $1. I have one. Can I be negative? Can I go negative $1? There you go. If I go negative $1 as my net worth, then there is no expectation that I have to prove anything. So negative $1, Don. I think you're richer than I am. Hopefully. Otherwise we probably both want to get our accounts sorted out. By the way, it's a really interesting question. It's something that I've been reflecting on recently. Net worth is a value of money, which I think is really important to an element, because being rich is better than being poor. But it isn't the only answer, and I do believe that you should try and get rich whilst maintaining an element of happiness within your life and trying to, should we say, like, grow within you as a person. So I think it was Naval who talked about it. He was like, I want to be rich, but I want to be happy. Now, if I have like a couple, I think he's a billionaire, but he's like, if I make 20 billion, like I've got so rich, it's like I would have sacrificed too much happiness to get there. So I think there's a balance between making money, of course, and then having a good quality of life. And I think for us is sometimes we get so focused on the money side that we do sacrifice the quality of life. And I will caveat this with something else as well. Some kind of learning that I had as well is we are not in. We have been taught by our families that hard work means you'll be successful. And unfortunately, that is a lie. It doesn't work. Why? Because there's someone who wants to work, someone who's working 3 jobs right now who is not richer than Elon Musk. And it probably works more hours than Elon Musk. But the net result is that what you've got to realize is that it's not about how hard you work. It's about how good are decisions that you make and you say how well you pair that with the leverage that you use. Good decisions with a lot of leverage will be great results. And a lot of the time, you need a lot of space to be able to think and consider good decisions and also have conversations with intelligent people who already know the areas that you're thinking about, and you can have those conversations. So that's a really important point. But I probably need to take my own advice because, hey, my net worth is minus $1. So I hope that makes sense. Let's go through. Can you tell me if we get brand approval for one product, do we get the same brand approval updated? I'm also beginning to tell the difference between both brand approval and again. Yeah, cool. So really good question. So fundamentally, the gating is basically a restriction Amazon puts onto sellers. Now, there are generally 3 types of restrictions I've ever seen. 2 you'll only really run into. The third one is quite rare. So restriction number 1 is called brand, i.e. I cannot sell Apple branded products. So when you go onto the listing and it says Apple, Tom cannot sell them, and he probably never will. So any product under the name brand of Apple, I will not be able to sell. The second type of restriction is category. For example, the toys and games category is any product or brand within the toys and game category I cannot sell if I was restricted, for example, and I can get ungated in that as well. But I have to go through a process called ungating. Now, the third type of restriction, which you never normally see, but you do sometimes, it's quite rare, is specific ASINs restrictions. So you say, like, this ASIN is restricted and you are not eligible to sell it. I.e., they've placed a block on that one ASIN, you cannot sell it. It does happen, we've seen it, but it's quite rare. Now, you can have brand and category overlapping gated, so you might get ungated in the brand, but you're still not ungated in the category. So that does happen quite a lot, so just be mindful of that. And when we talk about getting ungated, and when we talk about brand approval, like stop thinking of the word brand approval. That's a really bad way to think about it because what you are thinking about is that the brand has to say yes. That's not really how it works. The real way it works is that Amazon wants to know that you are buying products from legitimate suppliers, and so therefore it will allow you to sell those products, i.e. Amazon gives you approval, not the brand, to sell those brands because it can see that you are buying from legitimate supply chain. So therefore you buy from wholesalers, distributors, or maybe the manufacturer, but not that often. And then once you have that invoice, you give it to Amazon and they will ungate you or remove the restriction for that brand. Now, the other way you can do it is brand approval, but that's the hardest out of the 3 ways. So it's brand approval or buying from a wholesaler, manufacturer, or distributor to get ungated in that brand. And generally 99% of people will just do it the wholesale manufacturer. Wholesale or distributor way. So we're just buying the invoices, minimum of 10 units. It says 10 on the invoice. If it says like pack of 2 and you bought 5, won't work. It's got to have the word 10 or more on there, and then you get ungated. So you can definitely do it. If you want to know, comment down below, just put in the comments, hey Tom, can you send me the ungating guide? And I have a free 20-page ungating guide which talks you through all of this. It will like help you out. So just put like send me the ungating guide. I'll read the comments later and send you a message with it. So send you a link. It's free. It just tells you a lot of suppliers as well, UK and USA, to help you out. Hope that makes sense. Don. I'm going to drink my coffee. 1 second, Don. I've got 5 minutes, people. Drop your questions down below. 5 minutes. Right. I'm a beginner. Sometimes I get afraid, even after learning everything about FBA, just scared to invest them. What if I lost all that invested money? If you can share your first investment experience. Okay, I'm going to Don, I'm going to be really honest with you. You are going to lose money. Just take it in. Just take it in. You are going to lose money. Like, fact. Everyone loses money in this game. Even people who've been in this game for 10, 20 years doing 50 million, they have lost money on products that they have bought. This happens. So I think the question you need to ask yourself is, If I was you in my first position getting started, number one, I would try and get some cash together, be savings, whatever, that I am willing to lose. And I know it sounds hard, but I'm going to change the frame of reference. For example, if I have $1,000 or £1,000, I am not going to think of that $1,000 as something that I'm going to invest in stock and that I want to need to make money on to do my living or anything, and that I'm willing to lose it. No, I'm going to think of that $1,000 as I'm paying this money to learn an education. For example, you can go to university right now and rack up $100,000 in debt and come out with nothing. Or you can get $1,000, buy some product, sell it, see what works and what doesn't, and if you lose it all, then you've just paid for $1,000 in education. But you know what? If you learn the lessons that you need to learn in the game, you will not only get to keep your $1,000, but you'll also get to make more money on top of that. So the measure of how well you learn the lesson of business is whatever I started with, how much do I have less when I finish my education? And by the way, I'm still learning to this very day. So that's the measure, and that's the way I'd look at it. It's not about I'm losing money. You will. Sometimes we take a step forward, we take a step backwards, but it's about, have I learned the skills? And that's what you're paying for. And by the way, right now you get to learn skills for $1,000 down, and you might lose some money. And if you lose $200 of that $1,000, it doesn't matter. You just pay $200 for an education in business. And by the way, people pay $100,000 for that. So absolutely incredible. I would think of it in that perspective, and then that's just going to set you the right thing. And if you are losing money, the one thing you need to tell yourself is that I have not learned the lessons that I need to learn, because if I had, then I would not be losing money. So then it's saying, what else do I need to learn? So that would be my advice. Hope that makes sense, Tom. Sahil. So brand permission is one of the issues of getting ungated, not separate thing. Thank you. Yeah, so when we talk about, there's two types of gating really, there's three, but two most people talk about. You're restricted on a brand or you're restricted on a category. When we talk about brand, there are two ways to remove that restriction. One is get brand permission, or the other one is to get an invoice from a distributor, wholesaler, or manufacturer, or distributor, wholesaler. The manufacturer would be brand permission. So therefore, if you have the, you can remove it brand permission, or you can remove it the other way, which is the invoice. Most people do the other way. That's the way it works. The only exception are certain brands you just cannot get ungated in. It will not work without brand permission, such as Apple, and Clinique's a new one if anyone wants to know. So just be mindful. That's the way it works. But I think you're making a mountain out of a molehill. It doesn't matter. At what point in your Amazon business did you start paying yourself? I don't know. That was like 7 years ago. Can I say a year? After 1 year? That would do. Yeah, after 1 year. It's irrelevant. I think, by the way, I did a survey. I don't, by the way, an individual answer I don't think is a good answer. So if you're asking me the question, at what point in your Amazon business did you start paying yourself? I won't answer from my specific example because that's just one use case, but I did do a survey of Amazon sellers probably about 2 years ago, and the majority of those sellers started paying themselves after 12 to 18 months. Between 12 and 18 months was when they started paying themselves in the Amazon business. And I think you need to understand that when you're starting any business, that most of the time, for the first year, you're probably, especially in capital intensive businesses like Amazon, you're probably going to be reinvesting the profits rather than taking the money out. So this is why it's very important to keep your job. Hope that helps. Yeah, send me the Ungating guide. Cool, I'll do that afterwards. Have you got an Amazon spreadsheet? I have. It's called the Buy Sheet. I'll send it to you. You get a free copy of that as well. From your personal connections and network, do you know many successful Amazon FBA sellers? Yeah, just look at my YouTube channel. They're the ones that actually go public with me. Dan 1000 ASINs, if you want to know his YouTube video with me, you just go to my channel and have a look back. It's got 11,000 views. I haven't met him in person, but I do like him. Amazon Lit, 50 million. I've met them in person. I've met the entire team multiple times. Really good. And again, it's what's your measure of success. I've met someone doing, I don't know, I think 250 million a year. So big, like really, really big. Yeah, like, what's your idea of success? Do they have a nice quality of life? I don't know. I didn't ask that question. Top line revenue? That's the one I looked at. In the UK, yeah, I know someone doing 250 million in, I think 250 million in pounds. So yeah, I think you know who I know. Let's go. Right, do you do P&L, you do PL mostly or wholesale FBA? OA, we do OA. We started doing wholesale, but mainly OA. But yeah, no PL. Never done PL, don't plan to, not an interest in it. Don, difference between white label and private label. My God, Google. Just Google it. Use that. White label is not a product thing that we talk about really in Amazon. Don, I think you need to learn to use Google. Do that. I'm way over time. I watched your Keeps video sourcing techniques, help me a lot. No problem. I need to record some new ones. Honestly, I need to record some new keeper chart training. I'll do it this year at some point when I get a life. Did you learn Amazon by yourself, academy, or what? I pretty much taught myself, but networked, learned with a lot of people, asked questions. Again, one of the key measures of success you can ask yourself is, if I'm losing money, I have not learned the skills that I need to know for the game. So therefore, I need to learn the skills. That's it. It's like really, really simple. Right, ladies and gentlemen, my time is up. It's been a real pleasure. I just want to say thank you, everyone. Give me a big thumbs up, hit the like button down below, and I'll catch up with you same time next week. Only any questions, drop them around, and I'll catch up with you on the live next week. Thank you very much. Bye.